Here we go. It is time for another sprint zone. This one's from the previous week. I was a little behind. It was Father's Day weekend, so I didn't do any real editing or anything. Plus, there were some technical issues. So, this one's for 611, and it's a nice crew. It's a smaller crew than usual, and I must say, I really like that a lot better. And then when it gets upwards of what we were getting before, it was almost like herding cats. No disrespect to anybody. But it's time to get the party started and rock and roll. There's our star there, Byron, aka Superman, getting a little bit of water, nice and rested. Although I must say, since he wasn't like pushing it hard, like I was on the front probably most of County Road 5 here. So I don't have my statistics because my power was just dead. So I just put up Scott's and Byron's and I thanked them for their telemetry. Also, Scott's video, which we'll use a little bit later. I would have used it a little earlier, but it was pretty much the same because he was like right behind me, so I thought no point. And I like to say that the power is off by like 8 seconds until about the halfway point because my camera did its little switchy thing. And enough of that commercial stuff, and it is time to go. Looks like we got Wolfgang there in the red, looking svelte on that gold bike. Jim from Breakaway back there, and up front, Mark from the Fort Collins Cycling Club wearing his Colorado kit. Got Curtis there. Looks like Marcelo up there and Greg. And pretty much everyone is still in tow. You can see the big man way back there in black, just waiting to put the hurt on us. And looking at their power, no picnic. So kudos to the guys up front that must be throwing it down because this is good power. Even though it's off by a little bit, it's still, they're putting out good power. And I'm sitting in a good position here, and I'm pretty happy with this. Looks like Mark unable to hold the pace of Marcelo, who's drilling it at the front. And now I'm in a good position. Greg looking good. Got the First City kit there. And now Scott's video is added, and you can see yours truly wearing the old school racing kit in third position there, as the suffering is about to commence. And that is when Byron goes to the front. And at this point, the power is correct. So, looking what they're putting out, Byron 270 or so for 30-second power. Scott kind of sitting in, not really throwing out that much, as you can see, but it is starting to ramp up. Looks like Marcelo going to run Byron down, but he's just not quite making contact. Greg falling off the wheel, and it is my turn to go around him, bringing myself up to the wheel of Marcelo, who still not quite made the catch on Byron. And I can see why. Byron's 30-second power at over 300, and instantaneous power 350s. And so this is the struggle bus back here, and you can see the head bobbing, and there's the elbow flick for me to go around and try to close this one. And I'm working hard here. Plus I have that camera like giving me all this extra resistance, and I am not going to be able to bring Byron back. And so the big men come to the front. Scott looking good, Wolfgang looking good, Steve looking good, Curtis on my wheel, and we got Danny back there, Jim back there, and it looks like this is going to be the selection for quite a while. And look at the kind of power Byron is throwing out up there. 30-second power, over 400 watts. And this is why I was indeed in the hurt locker. And everyone's just pretty much flat out just trying to stay on Byron's wheel. And he is just keeping a steady tempo, just tap, 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 tap. No one's going around. And there's pluses and minuses to this. Like in the old days, we used to have to play the whole revolver thing where we would rotate and see who's the weakest link. Now it's Byron goes to the front and let's see who can hang on, especially when there's no other supers around. But it is what it is. Byron looking super smooth, just tapping out that cadence there. 30-second power, well over 370. Amazing that he's putting out that kind of wattage. Wolfgang looking comfortable, Steve looking comfortable back there, and everyone has nice tight kits that are in this selection here. And it is a nice respectful echelon. Like, there are some times when the echelon gets to the point where you can get slightly better draft by taking a little more road, but if you have, some consideration for the people behind, you don't take the perfect draft, you just take good enough. And this is a respectful crew here. Although I'm suspecting that the crosswinds, well, I was there, weren't wicked, but very nice. And Byron has been out there for almost half of the sprint zone. And you can see in the little yellow map, the little red arrow there approaching that little T intersection. That is the halfway 2-mile point. And no one is able to go around. No one wants to go around. No one can go around. All they can do is try to hang on. Coming up here, and this is a little bit of a grade, which is certainly to snap the legs of those who don't have any sort of reserve. And that would probably be me in this instance because I was dreading this part. And then let's see what Byron's going to throw down here. 400 watts, 420 for his 32nd watt power. That is most impressive, and people are still in tow there. And it looks like at this point, it looks like Byron waving people over, and then there's the elbow to actually like the wrong side because we were echeloned out the other way, but maybe it was such a subtle echelon. And so Scott on the wheel, not letting Byron take any sort of respite. I think if I were Byron, I would have just pulled off to the right, sat back a little bit, just see who was willing to do anything. Scott comes off the wheel because he was pushing some serious wattage, just trying to hang on to the cape of the big man. Scott comes back, I come back, and it looks like we have people sitting on. We got Curtis sitting on who's not seen the front yet. No one has seen the front yet, except for pretty much Byron. Wolfgang looking strong, Steve looking strong, and there I am sitting in there pretending to be strong as the attacks go. Wolfgang gives a little dig here, and Steve is quick to close that one. Curtis working hard back there, and Wolfgang is like, oh, that didn't work, everybody is on me. I'm not certain if that was an attack or he was trying to just create a better selection, even up his chances in the sprint. But now Steve is at the front, and people are rotating through here, and I am dreading my position here. But Steve's a good draft, so I was not feeling that I was not in shelter. But this is a little bit of a grade here, and we are working hard. And when you see the big men, that would be Scott and Byron with their wattages for a while there below 230 seconds. But you can see now Byron and Scott both upper 300s as Steve stands up on this little grade. And this is definitely ripping the legs off some people. Looking arrears, everybody's still in tow. And this is a fine selection. Curtis looking strong there on my wheel, and it is now my turn to take over. And I'm a little too far out to be able to push this to the end. But my plan is to just go hard enough so that I get a good workout and maybe be able to sag back and get in there for the sprint. But I know the gentlemen that are sitting in that haven't done any work and who've got a chance to recover. So I am basically doing the bidding of the strong men. As you can see that Scott and Byron, their power for 30 seconds well under 200. As I'm certain that mine is probably well over 200 at that point, as I am well over my lactate threshold. Scott goes to the front where Curtis is shirking his duty. A smart move if he wants to make it to the end. I try to take a little bit of shelter here, but I do not have enough to really reattach myself in a good way. Hanging on back behind Curtis, and I know that my legs are just on fire, and I'm just waiting to the point where everybody goes hard and it's no mas. And there it is. There's the point where I do not have enough reserve. And looking at Scott and Byron, well up over 600 for Scott, 500 for Byron as they are going for it. And you can see the freshness of those who were on my wheel getting some respite. And I'm certain that they would thank me for my service. Looking at Scott's camera now, everybody going hard. And there's Byron and Wolfgang doing battle at the front. And the big man, Byron, going hard as he separates himself from the rest of the selection. Yeah. And that's what the supers can do to the rest of us. And you can see Scott letting the big men go, letting those that sucked wheel go, as he puts in a respectable job trying to hang on and going mano a mano with the big men up front. That was good. I enjoyed that one up until the point where I got dropped. Actually, that was good. I was feeling good. So it was lucky that I was able to make the selection, being in the right place at the right time, enjoyed the smaller posse. That was good. And until next time, we shall party on. Yep, not much left here. Let's just fast forward the little video here and see what we got. Yep, nice shot of Wolfgang. There's the rest of the posse as we turn around on this one. Yep, no cars back today. It's Scott. There I am. Yep, a good time was had by all. Until next time, peace out, everyone.